Hello, hello, hello. I give it a little second of a delay while YouTube catches up.
Oh man, we're live.
We're live.
Oh
Hello,
man,
hello. It's still not showing up on my thing. Is it moving on you?
I see it. Yep, we're good.
Okay, that's just me then. How are you guys? Well, that was about as unenergetic of a hello as I've done in a while. Um, I'm moving slow today, guys. It just now popped up on my screen that we're live. Okay, I'm moving slow. It is like 90 something degrees over here in Knoxville, and my central heat and air decided, now's a good time to retire. Think I'm done.
Mm.
And and they're like, well, we can't come out and replace your unit till Friday. And I'm like, so what am I going to do between now and Friday? Besides die just a little bit, just kill over.
Yep, yep.
Oh, it's been a nightmare. So if y'all hear a fan in the background, I'm sorry, but it was either that or we just don't do those. That
It's
was
just
the
a
only
fan.
option.
It's summer.
It's a it's
Yeah.
a it's a fan. Hurricane, our little piece of the hurricane came through. We had some good thunderstorms yesterday. It cooled it down, probably 15 degrees. It was a pretty nice breeze, but that's packed up and left by today. We were
Right.
back at like 92 or 93, something ridiculous. So, how was everybody? I'm sorry I canceled on yesterday. Could not do it.
You feeling better today?
Yum. I think what I did, and it doesn't make any sense because when I explain it to you, you're gonna be like, those two things aren't related. I think I had a kidney stone this week. I was in a lot of pain this week. Like, felt like I'd been hit by a truck, top to bottom. Nothing made sense, and I hadn't done anything. And then I got better, and I thought, well, by Thursday I was okay. And then I did. I talked to somebody for probably 3 or 4 hours and was fine. And then Friday I woke up and I was in pain again, and my voice was gone. Like there was
Hmm.
nothing there. Anytime my body does something weird, tries to get sick, my voice will disappear. If I don't sleep enough, my voice will go away. I don't know how those two things are related, but anytime I stress out about something, my voice just goes. There's nothing I can do about it.
Hmm.
And then we got that storm and the power went out. We lost power for like an hour and a half. I'm like, well, I'm glad we weren't in the middle of the live to do that. So I was glad that I canceled it because it would have been short and sweet. I'd have been mute, and then we would have lost power. So it would have been Awen by herself.
Yep.
Not that that's uncalled for. You've done that to me a couple of
Yep. I
times.
have. I
Yeah.
have. Yep.
So what's everybody else doing? We got a couple of things like on the agenda to talk about, but then we'll just kind of talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. It's
Well,
pretty
I've been
low
really
key.
busy this week with school. I'm back in school, so I
Yeah.
have 4 courses I'm getting through. So I'm really focused on that, doing some artsy kind of stuff, some crafty stuff. Just really
Mhm.
focusing on that while there's a lull in the Valo case right now. I expect that to pick back up middle of next week, but we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm just focusing on schoolwork, which has been taxing. My head hurts a lot.
Yeah.
I've gone through a lot of Tylenol this week. Yep.
Yeah. Isn't today the 2 year? Didn't I see that? Is today the 2 year anniversary of
Of Charles's
Charles?
murder. Yes, it
Okay, it
is.
was today. It wasn't yesterday. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I'm like, can you believe that? It seems like it's been, I guess in my brain, I didn't realize they happened so close together, but they did. Like
Mm-hmm.
when kids were gone, it wasn't very long after. I don't know. I guess I thought that was a longer period of time than it was.
Right.
So all of our thoughts are definitely with his family and Gretchen and Kay and Larry and his brother that did that interview. I love that guy. I love that interview that he did. Um, so what is going on in the Val case? Is there anything coming up soon?
There should be some stuff coming up soon. We have to wait and see. I'm expecting that hearing to be rescheduled.
Yep.
There was some interesting things popped up on the Vine notifications, not with any documentation. So that's still all speculation. So I don't want to touch that yet till we know what's going on. But
Okay.
hopefully we'll find out soon. So
Yeah.
that's all we got to do is sit and
So
wait, which is
that's
really annoying. I'm not good at that.
yeah. But what are your thoughts on? Arizona saying they're not going to press charges against Chad. Wasn't that this week? We haven't talked
Yep,
about that
that was
yet.
this week. I understand it because if you don't have enough to get a conviction, you don't want to bring charges because you only get one chance, right? So
Hmm.
maybe they're waiting. Maybe they think maybe Lori will flip on Chad or somebody else will give them some more hard evidence so they can use. But it really made me angry because
I was angry too.
Chad started the zombie thing. We've heard from several people now who have said in public that Chad called Lori and said, I think Charles is a zombie. I think he's Ned Schneider or whatever name they want to use. And Lori ran with it. Now, again, that's also hearsay because who knows if Melanie Gibbs telling the truth because whatever. But
I don't know if
it's
she
like,
knows how.
ah, it would
Yeah.
really bother me if he never gets charged for Charles's murder too. I don't think he was there physically in the home when he was shot or anything, but it's like he started this mess. Come on, man. So it made me
Oh,
angry on a personal level, but I understand the legal reasons why they haven't brought charges. But it's really annoying. It is very annoying.
well, don't we know that he wasn't there? Like you said, I don't think.
Right.
Don't
Right.
Wasn't there a rumor that some woman was like, I was on an airplane with him on the way to Arizona that day, and that came out as no.
That was back in September for one of
Yeah.
one of the children's deaths, but
Oh, okay. Never mind.
that turned out not to have been true anyway. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just with the probable cause affidavit, just the information, even though it was redacted, it seems like they have a lot more evidence of more people. Like,
Yep.
so I was surprised that they decided not to charge him because what's in that affidavit is not all that they have.
Right.
They have a ton, and you would think as the main co-conspirator with the kids anyway, they would have.
Hmm.
I don't know. But anyway, that stuff we talk about on your channel. That's for another day. But
Yeah.
so what else is going on? Oh, we had the Cosby thing this week. That was interesting.
That was terrible. That
We
was
just
terrible.
talked about that. What, a week and a half
Hmm.
before? It was Hearsay Live 2 times ago, I think, when I said, "Don't worry, guys, he ain't getting out because he won't even take his stupid sex offender classes in prison. He was denied parole." And then it's like, "Hey, putting man's out," and you're like, "What the heck just happened?
Yep. Yep. And on a
What the heck?"
technicality too, which is just that's so annoying. That's so annoying. So I was very annoyed by that because he admitted it. It's not like it's a question of whether he did it or not. We know he did. And I thought that was such a slap in the face to all of his victims, and it's just gross.
Yeah.
I hate stuff like that.
What's come out of that, which is, you know, why we talk about why it's so important that even though some of the BS that we see go through court has to happen so that this doesn't happen, like why everybody's dotting T's
Right.
and dotting I's and crossing T's, that kind of thing, that really highlights it. Because that's a big case. I mean, they let
Hmm.
you out after you admit to doing that kind of stuff. That's a big deal.
Yep.
What's come out of that is apparently Ghislaine Maxwell had the same kind of deal that she
Hmm.
gave a deposition against Epstein, and they told her they wouldn't prosecute her, and now they have. And so now her lawyer is arguing on the same thing. He got an emergency hearing, um, like the day after or 2 days after
Yep.
Pudding Pop got out. Call it.
Yeah. Because
Um,
that does set a very dangerous legal precedent now. And so what is Ghislaine Maxwell going to walk now too on the same
what if
thing?
she
That's so
does?
wrong. It is so wrong. Oh, so yeah,
That girl,
that's
whew,
it exposed a
that's
flaw in
scary.
the legal system that needs to be
Yeah,
filled in for sure. For sure.
yeah,
So
yeah. That could be. That's a nightmare. To think that Epstein didn't have to. He got away with it. I mean, he got away with it. No matter, I don't care if he was arrested or not. He got away with it. What he was
hmm.
convicted of and got away with, being out of prison 18 hours a day. The door wasn't locked. He had his own. He did whatever the heck he wanted to. Didn't register as a sex offender. All that mess, and then I'll just say
Yep.
died in prison because I don't want to go there. And
Yeah.
now to think she might get out on the same thing, my God,
Yep.
I can't even imagine. And because those are kids, those are
Yep.
kids.
Hmm.
That's crazy to me. So what else happened this week? Anything else interesting?
Let's see. Well, you want to talk about Summer Wells? in that case?
We can.
That case is turning into a disaster
Um,
on
the
every front.
only the only thing that's come from law enforcement this week at all is they released a statement saying they did not have a person of interest and they are still looking for the red truck.
Yep.
So I know there were some rumors that they found the red truck in another county and it belonged to a neighbor and it checked out, and so people were like, "Oh, well, that's nothing." But they have released, yes, we are still looking for the red truck. So I'm going with that.
I was wrestling with Jack. He wouldn't get down. He's trying
Oh
to
my
get the
god,
microphone.
the cat, Jack,
Goodness. Goodness, Jack. Sorry about that. Yeah, that rumor about the red truck being found was started by David Dodson, who decided to go on a YouTube live stream and talk about stuff and said all kinds of stuff. I was like, wait, what? And forced law enforcement's hand to come out and say, no, that's not true. That stuff needs to stop. It
I know
needs to
that.
stop.
Like, I know we want answers, and we figure if these people are willing to talk, they that's good. I'm not of the same opinion. I don't think the people involved or around a case should be talking to anybody
I agree.
without law enforcement. I just don't, because there's some smart dang people on the internet, and I'm not of the opinion that somebody on the internet could not figure a case out.
Right.
I think this whole crowdfunding true crime thing is amazing, in my opinion. But the you talking to people, and I'm not saying anything about that channel, negative. I
Right.
don't know them. I saw it, I watched it, and they've talked to quite a few people. But I guess in the back of my brain, I'm like, what if they said something, and then what if you ask them a good question, they answer it, then law enforcement is like, well, they said it, but that's not binding just because they said it on the news or
Right.
on the internet, and you're like, crap, now it's out there, and I don't know.
Right.
I
Or they
worry
could
about it.
inadvertently reveal details of the investigation that would tip off someone that law enforcement is actually watching, and that
Right.
could cause problems with the investigation. So it's really dangerous, I think, for people who are actually involved in a case like that to be doing YouTube live streams. I really think that's
Yeah.
dangerous. Certainly, law enforcement is not a fan of this from what they've said, and I think it should stop. But
Yeah.
whatever.
It's
But the
just
only
crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, the only actual news in the case is the sheriff came out and said we do not have a person of interest. That's the only news. They said they've
Yeah.
answered over 900 tips now, and they have looked at every single one of them. Nothing has led to any more information about Summer's whereabouts, which is horrifically tragic. So
I hate that we don't have anything nailed down, because at this point, I kind of, when they didn't find her fast, I
mhm,
kind of thought, well, about the 3 week mark, we'll start getting information, because that's usually how long it takes back to get forensic stuff from the FBI lab and stuff like
right,
that. So I thought, okay, well, that's when we're going to start hearing about GPS from the cars, GPS from the phone, cell towers, anything that got tested. That's when we'll start hearing that. But we've got nothing.
mhm,
So, like, in my brain, I want to know: does Dad have an alibi? Was Dad at work? Seems like that would be easy to say yes or no to.
right,
Because if that story is true, you can pretty much rule out you got anything to do with it. Because that checks out, checks out.
mhm,
Did Grandma go to the hospital? Did they go to Walgreens? Do they have them on camera at the grocery store? Do they have a credit card, debit card, receipt? So many things that are in the story that could absolutely be checked out that don't require car GPS or cell phone tower pings, that kind of stuff. That you could just say, yep, all that checks out. And so we're narrowed down to this kind of a window. But I mean, they've said nothing. Like, they haven't nailed any of that down. None of it.
yep. Which is
leaves
interesting.
wide open.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would they not come out and verify those few kinds of details?
I don't
Unless maybe
know.
they have a good reason why they haven't. Or it could be that they are just keeping everything close to the vest, because it is still a very active investigation. And that would make sense that they don't want to confirm or deny anything at this point, because
Yeah.
all the options are still on the table.
Yep.
So,
It kind of reminds me of when Heidi went missing. Do you remember when I say we covered that? I didn't. I was just a mod. It was you and Paul, and you guys did lives and talked about it or whatever. But it was like every day we were watching, and it was like, okay, there's the video of Heidi taking her little boy and the baby to school, so we knew she was at least alive that day, you know.
hmm
And after that, it was nothing. Like, they acted kind of like, well, maybe she left on her own free will. I was like, that's kind of weird. But then days and days went by, and Shane kept giving interviews. Everybody thought Shane was guilty as hell because he did some pretty stupid things. He did. Um, I can remember saying, why in the world did he go outside and jump in a dumpster to look for car keys? Do you remember that?
yep.
He spent, I don't know how long, inside a dumpster at an apartment building looking for her car keys before he reported her missing, which I
hmm
thought was so weird. And I was like, if her car's there, how would she have left on her own? Like, that didn't make any sense either.
Right.
And then he went to Verizon to get a copy of her cell phone records before he reported her missing. And I'm like, dude's hiding something. He's
Yep.
hiding something. And and then law enforcement wasn't saying anything. And then we got the rumors that he'd been polygraphed 3 times. And you're like, they don't normally give people who pass polygraphs multiple. So we were all looking at him. And then here comes, my Superman, Captain America, Tim Miller. And, he's talking. And I think he never outright said it, but some of the things he said, I think he even suspected Shane on a certain level because of the way he answered some stuff when he talked to him.
Makes sense. Most of us suspected Shane from
Yeah,
day one. It's like, oh, this is shady. There's something
yeah,
wrong here, and we
yeah.
all thought that. I mean, Peter Hyatt pretty much said
Oh,
he was
geez.
guilty straight up.
Yeah,
Uh, a lot of us on YouTube, Paul and I, were both like, yep, this is not good. This is Chris Watts 2.0, and there were
yeah.
so many shady things. But now when we understood the explanation of why he seemed so shady, it was like, oh,
Because he
dang,
knew stuff. Because,
right,
that's what I had said the whole time. That man knows something. Because he was acting like Heidi was dead. Like, he didn't talk about Heidi coming back.
right,
But he still talked about the baby. If you have her, just leave her somewhere safe and we'll come get her. Nothing will happen to you, which is a red flag. A lot of times, if you watch police interrogations, and I'm addicted to watching police interrogations, a lot of times, including in Chris Watts, they will say, so what do you think should happen to the person who did this to your kids or your spouse or whatever? And 9 times out of 10, it's probably higher odds than that, but if they're involved, they minimize whatever punishment is going to happen. Oh, I don't know how long you go to jail for that. I don't know. Do you get parole after a while? Whereas somebody like JD, Amari Nicholson's, I don't want to call him stepdad. He's not his biological dad, but he was the dad that was involved in Amari's life so much. JD, when
right.
they interviewed him outside the courtroom, he said, there is no justice. What are you talking about, justice? I want to put that man underneath the jail. There's no
hmm
justice for killing a 2-year-old, And that's somebody that's how you feel if somebody had hurt your kids.
Yep.
And, when Shane was like, nothing will happen to you, just bring him back. I'm like, yeah, that's not good. But then we see the arrest go down live on TV. It was me and you, Shar, a mod over at Paul's channel, which I haven't seen in a while, and Denise. Do you remember all 4 of us watched that live for like 2 or 3 hours? And we were like, what
Yep.
is going on? And they were like, Heidi's in the trunk of a car. This is her friend in another town, and she has her baby. And she'd been talking to Tim Miller on the phone, and he heard Heidi's baby cry. I mean, I got goosebumps for
hmm
days. It was so chilling. And then when everything came out, and it was like Shane had nothing to do with it. But during the process, the police hung him out to dry, in my opinion. They let him do these interviews. They didn't make him look like a victim, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right.
They didn't confirm or deny anything. They just let him go. And everybody zoomed in, not everybody, most people zoomed that way We had no idea she had a psycho friend over here.
Yep.
No idea.
Yeah, but he did, and he was told not to talk about that, which is why he looked so shady in his interviews and stuff, because he was trying to keep this information back that he knew
Yep.
from law enforcement. He did the right thing. He had to keep that quiet for their investigation, but that certainly made him look like he was, because you can tell from his body language he was hiding stuff, but
Yep.
not nefarious. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't nefarious. He was doing
Right.
the right thing. So we learned a big lesson from that, from
Yeah, we
covering
did.
cases like this. Don't jump to conclusions. Certainly in the summer case, what we have seen is pretty incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a case explode this quickly with this much ridiculous rumor and vitriol against the parents. All right, it's when they say, "Oh, they seem shady." But no, it's not
Well,
even that. It's they did it. They're guilty. Burn them. And all kinds of crazy rumors. We're like, wait, we know nothing. We know
and
absolutely nothing.
and quite a few people around them. I mean, it's not even just nailed in on them.
Hmm.
It's and
Yeah.
not just about Summer. Now they're talking. They're talking about her Candace's sister too.
Yep.
Um, did they do it? I don't know. I made a video because she was an Amber Alert here in Tennessee, and then I made a video because Dad started doing interviews, and I'm like, okay, I've worked with domestic violence victims. I normally talk about these plea interviews, like I did Amari's, I did Caleb, little
Hmm.
baby CJ, his parents, and I'm like, I'm not a professional, but whenever I see people, this looks shady. Like I'll show you. If people act like this, that's not a good thing. This is weird. So, I just didn't get all the red flags a lot of other people are getting. But I'm not saying I'm a pro and that he is absolutely innocent. I'll be honest, when I think everything comes to light, I will be really, really shocked if Dawn had anything to do with Summer, even a cover up, like has a clue what happened. I'll be surprised. Do I know that about grandma, mom, any other random person? I don't know. Um, I don't know.
Mm.
What do you do with that though? You know, I don't see these people as being the biggest con artists that can fool 7 states of 125 agencies. And
Yep.
that just looks really hard to me.
Yep.
But
All we can do is wait for word from law enforcement. That's all we can do. Now we are watching, at least I'm watching one of the Facebook groups. We're watching the social media, the Twitters, all this stuff. We watch the rumors, we watch the interviews and all this, but still not a single word that has come out on any YouTube channel or on any social media post is evidence of anything that happened. And that's it. So, I don't want to run with the rumors because what if, imagine someday all these people that are convinced parents did it. What if we find out the parents didn't do it? How are you going to feel after what you have done and said about them on the internet? You'll be
I
like,
don't
oh,
know. I
well, I
just
thought they were guilty and blow it off like it's nothing. No, you're destroying their lives on top of the fact that they have a missing child. Just chill and wait till law enforcement will tell us someday what happened if they figure it out, you know? But if they don't, just go with that for now.
I don't know. I guess since I made a channel, and luckily, I had you and Paul. I didn't take on a YouTube channel with no experience. Like I had modded for you guys, and I'm really good friends with you and Paul, so I kind of knew what hiccups you all had and decisions that you made that made sense, and adopted them. And I've always said I don't want to make videos that I wouldn't show the people that they're about.
Right.
I don't say stuff on my channel that I wouldn't say to anybody involved. I would have said all that stuff to Terrell and to Taylor,
Hmm.
Mari's people. I'm still looking at Taylor big time. Uh,
Yep.
she she was a lot of red flags for me. But I didn't say she killed a kid. I never made a
Right.
video that said she killed a kid. I just said there's a lot of red flags, and I wonder
Yep.
what's going on there.
And what bothers me most about a situation like this is when law enforcement has to come out and say, can you please
So
quit with the social media nonsense? You're hurting our investigation. If law
yeah,
enforcement has to say that, that is a monstrous problem. But nobody's taking note of that. Like, oh, well, yeah, we'll do what we want. You can't tell us we can't do this, da 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 da. It's like, if you guys want to find Summer, there are a lot of more practical things we could do instead of sit here and trash every single person that's ever come across Summer in her life and dox people and post all this stuff about their lives and dox teenage kids. And my goodness, that's not going to help find Summer. It is not
Or
going to
even
help.
Summer's little brothers. I mean, my
Yep.
goodness.
Yep.
You know, I've heard that they are being harassed when they go out in town, not even with their parents. Like people
Right.
are giving them a hard time. And that breaks my heart. And I do watch other people's live chats. There's not a ton of people that I watch on YouTube anymore just because I don't have as much time. Who would have thought taking a YouTube channel you'd watch less of it, but I don't watch as much of it as I used to, but people send me stuff all the time, and if you send it to me, I do try to watch it or as much of it as I can or can stomach. And there's people out there that say those boys killed her. Now, that ain't gonna fly here. I would never say that. If you think the parents are shady, the parents have records. Like, I get it. There's a lot of things in their background that makes this case a nightmare for law enforcement, I would
Yep.
say. But not the kids. Like, if you have absolutely zero evidence saying that her brothers probably shot her, I mean, that's what I've seen. Shot her. Like, come on. Those kids are going to have to live in, they're not moving. They don't have the money to do this crap. These kids are going back to school next month. I feel for them, man. I'm not even kidding. My heart breaks for Summer's little brothers. I can't even. I
Yep.
can't imagine.
I think a lot of
And
it is the internet culture, especially in true crime, where you feel like a detective. You feel like, if I just read all their social media posts, I'll solve the case. I'll know who did it. I learned statement analysis in an online course. I can do this. And
yeah,
people get into that, but you forget that the people you're talking about are actual real people dealing with
yeah.
real pain and real lives and real fear and terror over a missing child and terror over a missing sibling. And, all of these people there, I'm sure a lot of people are feeling guilty. Why didn't I do more? Why didn't I step in? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? But tearing these people to shreds on the internet does not help solve the crime.
And
It doesn't.
even if you think that, I'm not even saying you're bad if you think. I mean, obviously, it's an option. Anything could have happened with what we know. Absolute. I mean, aliens could come down and snatch this little girl for all. I mean, law enforcement has said zero. Everything is open. Everything is on the table. But I think when you put it out on Facebook, like, and it's not even surrounded by, it's my opinion. Have they checked out? Blah blah blah. You can question stuff. I don't have a problem people questioning stuff. But
Right.
it's like her brother shot her. They have guns. Well, there's guns in my house too. I can damn sure believe that my kids have never shot a dog or anybody else in this house. Um,
Yeah.
most people in Tennessee have lots of guns and they don't shoot people. So that's not enough
Yeah.
to throw something like that out.
Hmm.
Um, I know a lot of people are acting crazy about the guy from church. I've read all kinds of mess about that, and I listened to, like I said, I listened to his interview or whatever. Did you watch it? You did, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I watched it because I wanted to look at the body language. It was just a phone call, so I couldn't see
It
any.
was a phone
So I
call.
was like, "Ah, boo."
Yeah, there's always he sounds like every church deacon that's ever been at a Southern Baptist church that I grew up in. I mean, I know they're
Hmm.
not Southern Baptists, but he is. I could name 25 people that would have had that same dang phone conversation. He didn't strike me as the lovely bones guy like people are making him out to be. Um, I don't know.
Here's an interesting comment in chat from Mango Coffee. They say,
Okay.
believing the parents' grandma did it isn't a stupid opinion, but some of the reasons why people say they did are. Now, that's an interesting comment to me because I'm not saying anybody's opinion is stupid,
Mm-mm.
but believing the parents or grandma did it, to me, there's nothing. What if we heard from law enforcement said the parents or the grandma did it? No, we can speculate and say, it's possible, because right now everything is still possible. But there's a difference between thinking, hey, this is possible, or that's possible, or this is possible, as opposed to, I believe the grandma did it, or I believe the mom did it. It's like, why? What do you have? Well, because I feel shady about them. It's like, well, your feelings don't mean evidence. you
It
know?
it just it depends on the way you look at it. Like dude you're talking about, or why can't I never think of his name when I want to say it? Hyatt, Peter Hyatt.
Yeah.
If the way he goes at stuff, in my opinion, he reads it and just I don't enjoy what he does. But okay. I guess if an FBI profiler was handed a thing and said, "This little girl is missing. These are the people that are around her." If I sat down and I just saw their records, I would probably be looking. I'd be looking at the parents
Yep.
big time. I
But they
would be
always, in every
big
missing
time.
child case, they will
Yeah.
always look at the parents first.
Right.
Always start with the parents. Every investigation will start with the parents. So, of course, they did.
Yeah.
And if they looked at the parents so far for 3 weeks now and haven't picked either of them up, either they're waiting for them to trip up, maybe to lead them to the body, or maybe they say, yeah, the parents are cleared. But they can't say that publicly until the investigation is done, you know?
But then it brings to mind Patterson, Jacob, the Jacob that stole, that kidnapped. No, this wasn't Carly. Why can't I need to write these
I know
daggone names
you're
down?
thinking Carly
Floss.
Gousset. Right.
Oh yeah, her. People tore her apart on the news. Do you remember
Yep.
that? Everybody said she ran away. That she had some internet secret boyfriend who killed
Yep.
her family, and she ran away. And sure enough, that little girl made it out of that psycho's house barefoot in the snow
Mm-hmm.
to come back home. Can you imagine? I
Yep.
I, I cried for days over that little girl. I did. Like I had to
Yep.
take a break because I thought, oh my God, she has survived the most horrific experience I can imagine. And then she went home and got more. Like, how do you come home from that? Can you
Yeah.
imagine the people that looked at her in her town that were like, "We know you ran away with that guy," and
Yep.
all that had happened, he saw her get off the school bus and was a psychopath and said, "I'm going to have her." Didn't
Mm-hmm.
know her from Adam.
Yep.
Blew her parents away through the dang door, stole her, and locked her under his bed. No connection whatsoever. What's
Yep.
the other little girl? The little girl, was it Sweetnick, Sweetnick?
Oh, yeah. Sweatnick. Faye
People
Sweatnick.
thought people thought her mama was in on her disappearance. They put her
Mm-hmm.
mama through the ringer, and come to find out it was a daggone neighbor. She was
Yeah.
in the house, and the police visited him what, 3 times, twice.
Yep.
She was in the house,
That
and
was
it's
that
a
was
neighbor.
horrifying. Yep.
Mm. I'd
Yep. So
never
it's
been
really
so
hard
mad that a piece of
i-
crap had
in
killed
this
himself as I did with her.
in this day and
Mm.
age, especially with the internet and the true crime community becoming, it's a huge thing now.
Big,
True crime on
a
the
big
internet
thing.
is huge, and everybody wants to be a detective. It's very hard. Like I imagine what it must be like to actually be a detective, where you're involved and you're talking to these people, but you have to maintain that thought in your head that says we don't know exactly what happened. Even if you really like someone as a suspect, like I really think they did it, you still have to be open to all the other possibilities until you have evidence. That's really hard, even for trained law enforcement to do. And here we are expecting average people in the true crime community to be able to do the same thing. And I get how impossible that is. I really do. Because we're not, first of all, we're not trained on how to do that. And when you get emotionally invested in a case like Summer's case, which we all are now, you want that boogeyman. You want that boogeyman so bad, right? And it makes you feel better to think, I think this person did it. That's it. They did it. They're guilty. Right? Even when there's zero evidence, because it does something in your brain to have a target like that. And when we're dealing with this, we have to really step back and be like, okay, what do we actually know? Do we know anything? And when you get back to no, we don't know anything, it's hard and it makes you feel unsettled and it makes you feel nervous. And it's just such a hard balance to strike. I get why people are all up in arms about this case. I really do. But I still think we have to back up and say, hey, we don't know what happened yet. We just don't know.
And you don't have to agree with me, That's
Mm.
not something that's not required over here. As long as you don't call me something god awful in the comments and I don't laugh at it. I mean, I'll probably leave it if I laugh at it. Um, just be respectful. I'll talk to anybody about it. I don't care. If you don't agree with me, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't. What was the jogger's name? The girl who just, the trial's just over. in Iowa.
Oh, I didn't watch that one.
I cannot think of her name. Anyway, they gave her boyfriend all kinds of hell because he was screwing around behind her back. He left the state. They never found her. And it was just some random person. And even that dude's defense attorney still tried to
Oh,
make the
that
very
case.
thing. Yeah, still
Yeah.
tried to make him look like, oh, he still could have done it. That was
Mm-hmm.
the stupidest thing I ever saw. But a lot of people thought, oh, he was cheating on her and she didn't want to move in with him anymore. Stuff like that. That's People are not perfect. People just
Mm-hmm.
aren't. Yeah, Molly
That's
Tibbetts.
it. Yep. Yep.
That was such an interesting trial to watch.
The defense
Shout
was
out to
crazy.
Iowa though, because they had the best dang acoustics in that courtroom of any trial I have ever watched in my life. You could hear them people blink. I'm not even kidding.
Yep.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I tried to
And
watch some of the Mark Redwine trial,
oh,
but you just can't hear
oh,
it. You can't hear
golly.
anything. And it's so
Mm-mm.
frustrating to jack your volume all the way up, and then some other tab starts making a sound, and your eardrums blow out, and you're like, ah, so I'm like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not watching that trial just because I can't hear it. So
yeah,
there's that. But yeah.
that's crazy. But then you get people like BTK. On paper, nobody would have thought he was who he turned
Yep.
out to be. They thought he was a happily married husband and father and church. He wasn't a deacon, but he was a member of a church that went all the time.
Hmm.
Just a regular person. You just never know what people are capable of. You
Yep.
just don't know.
His daughter
So,
gave some really interesting interviews
yeah, she
like
did.
about a year and a half ago. So if you're interested in the BTK case, look up his daughter's interviews because they were quite fascinating to hear from her
Mhm.
perspective. What would it be like to find out your dad is this monstrous, notorious serial killer? How do you go forward from that? So yeah, that was really fascinating to listen to.
Her, I think she wrote a book. It was good. Um, yeah, it's just crazy. That
Hmm.
Markov kid, the Craigslist killer, you wouldn't have thought he would be capable of something like that. He seemed like a normal,
Well, even
going
Chris
for a
Watts.
daggone doctor. Well, yeah, I
Chris
think
Watts looked normal.
you would have never. Yeah, I think Chris Watts. I think that's why so many women got involved in true crime was Chris Watts. I think a lot of
Hmm.
people were like, in my opinion, and maybe it's just me. I don't know why everybody gets into true crime. But I look at stuff and I'm like, I don't want to be the victim. So I look at that so that I can see the stuff that people dismiss, like the red flags, the warnings, the gut instincts that people ignored. And then how to not raise my kid to be somebody that's capable of something like that.
Hmm.
What do their parents say? Jeffrey Dahmer's parents gave interviews after he was convicted and stuff, and they're interesting.
Yep.
Because you just don't want to be that. You don't want to be the mom of somebody that did something like that. And
Right.
you don't want your kids to become a victim or you become a victim. And so I think it's a puzzle. I think your brain just wants to put that kind of stuff together and see patterns and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's
So
crazy.
we have two cases that we're going to talk about tonight.
Yep.
The one that you have first is that one. I don't want to say, I don't want to give it away because you're going to talk about it, but I have so many mixed feelings about that. Because on one hand, it's like, finally, that's what we need to see
Finally.
happen. But on the other
Yep.
hand, it's a horrifying case. So we want to
Yep.
start with that one first.
What's the one that you were going to talk about? Because you can tell that while I get this ready. Do you already
All
have
right.
one?
I'm going to talk about the one from Virginia. Okay. This is
Okay.
from actually May 4th is when this
Oh,
happened, but we're just hearing about it now. Chesterfield County in Virginia, in Midlothian, Virginia. On May
okay.
4th, right, they received information that the body of a child may be at a residence in Midlothian, Virginia. So they got a search warrant and they searched the home. And while searching the home, they found human remains in a freezer in the house. All right. So they took the remains to the medical examiner and they determined that those remains were of Aiden Weaver, right? Eliel Aiden Weaver, who was 5 years old, less than 5 years old. All right. And they've determined that he had been in the freezer for at least 2.5 years. Okay. So that's all kinds of crazy. All right. Now, the parents, Cassine and Dina Weaver, were arrested and they were charged with concealing, right, conspiracy to conceal, and failure to administer aid to the child. Now, that's okay. Well, what happened to the child? I guess they're still trying to determine the exact cause of death. However, the father has an extra charge of not murder, but malicious wounding. That's what it is. So he's got malicious wounding, domestic assault, battery, concealment of a dead body. Okay, so there's more for him than for the mom. But they hid this child in their freezer for 2.5 years, and they are both out on bond, which I find a little shocking. But they're still trying to determine exactly what happened to this poor child. Neighbors have come forward and said, yeah, we haven't seen them, but they kept to themselves a lot. They had an older child who is now in foster care. But they're not even sure where their parents are. They haven't been back to that home. The dad owns another home somewhere else, and they're not really sure where they are. But they are out on bond. Their next hearing is on August 5th. But how, what? 2.5 years? Nobody reported this child missing for 2.5 years? That's
That
crazy to me.
that couple that I was telling y'all, the Grays up in right outside Knox County, they they were still collecting money from the state for children that they had adopted from the foster care system, and they've been
Mhm.
dead for 3 years.
Yep.
And those were school age kids.
Right. So, yeah, so this
It
case,
just, uh,
there's
how old was the little boy, right? How
all
old
they
was
know
he?
is less than 5. They haven't even been able to determine an exact age for the child.
Oh,
So
God.
there's a lot of more information that we'll have to find out. DNA testing did prove that it was Dina's son, the mom's son, but they have not had a DNA connection with the dad yet. I don't know if that means it's not his or what, but neighbors have showed Christmas cards that they gave out with pictures of both boys before. It's like, well, okay, so none of the neighbors noticed they haven't seen a kid in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Where's the family? Do they have any family or friends? So it's a shocking case and we'll follow it. But yeah, they're out on bond, $35,000 bond, and they're out. And I'm like, how? How can you let these people out on bond if they kept a baby's body in the freezer? Even if he died accidentally, whatever, okay, maybe he wasn't murdered. But still, they hid a child's body in a freezer for 2.5 years. These people should not be on the street. Mm-mm. So we'll watch the hearing on the 5th and see what happens in that case. But that was kind
That's
of shocking.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. It's kind of like you remember the woman that had such a crazy outburst in court. She had killed two of her kids. One of the girl's name was Stony, but she alleged that her daughter was raping her son, and like two of them were abusing another one of her kids, and she killed them. They were school age kids, and she put them in a daggone freezer.
Mm.
I don't know how long they were in that freezer. I remember seeing the pictures of them taking the freezer out of that apartment building, and I was like, she had zero remorse. She refused for them to say that that was her daughter. Like, she yelled at the judge. You want to talk about crazy? You should watch that one. That is nuts.
Yep.
Nuts.
Yeah, the
That
charges. Someone in chat is asking about the charges on the dad. He has conspiracy, concealment, failure to render aid, malicious wounding, not murder, which to me that kind of sounds like murder, and it's just ridiculous.
Michelle Blair. Yeah.
So domestic assault and battery. So he's got a lot more charges than the mom does, but they are both currently out on bond. So that's
I
that.
think there are certain things when you're charged with, you should not be able to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Crimes against the community, rape, murder, that kind of crap, you
Yep.
should not be out on bail. I don't care, even if you're innocent. I mean, if they arrested me for the same dang thing tomorrow, if they have the evidence and the reason to do it legitimately, you should not be out on bail.
Yep. I agree.
Murdering a child, because what won't you do? If
Right.
you will murder your own dang kid, what won't you do?
Yep.
I
And
just,
even like I said, even if it was accidental, the fact that they hid his remains in a freezer for 2.5 years is pretty sick stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, that's scary. So
This week we had an Amber Alert um, in New Jersey. Tyler Rios. He I don't think they were married. Him and the mother weren't married. They had a son together, and he's got domestic violence charges. He broke into her house not that long ago, and her and her son were packing the house to move, and he went and abducted them.
Oh,
And
goodness.
whenever I got sent that to my email, I immediately made a video. I got that email at like midnight, and I had that video out by 1 o'clock in the morning. Not that I think a whole lot of people are going to see video my channel at 1 o'clock in the morning, but you never know.
Right.
You just never know. And so I did it, and then it was like I just had this gut, and I even said in the video, this one is not going to turn out very well. I don't think it will.
Mm.
But they found Sebastian, the little boy, fine. He was fine. He's safe, and I don't know if he's at his aunt and grandma's, but he's out. They arrested his dad, but the mom was still missing, and I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Right.
And then today, they found him in Tennessee. Y'all quit bringing your crap to Tennessee. Keep that in the other states. You're giving us a bad name down here. There have been so many things. There was another Amber Alert, a kid and a mom, and they found her dead body in like a duffel bag, like a military duffel bag, and he had transported her from like North or South Carolina, and they found her here in Tennessee. Quit bringing crap to Tennessee. But he admitted and told them where the body of her would be found, and they picked him up here in Tennessee. And I was just like, I knew that wasn't going to go well. But I had somebody watch the video that was her friend from high school. They said that she was so sweet and that she didn't deserve that, and everybody's really torn.
Nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves that.
No, but I'm just saying with the comments, that she was really, really nice, and that's part of the reason I make the videos, because how many people would have saw that?
Yep.
If it's not a local to you Amber Alert, a lot of times you don't hear about it. And if they do resolve it or whatever in 24 hours, a lot of times you won't hear about it at all.
Mm-hmm. And regardless of how the cases end up, these are really important to talk about, because we talk about domestic violence issues a lot. And when we always say, don't confront your toxic partner, don't do this, make a plan to get out safely. This is why. Now, it sounds like she had a plan. She was moving. He wasn't living there. She was doing all the right things. And he still killed her. Still did it. So, toxicity in relationships like this is really, really dangerous. So it's important to cover cases like this for sure.
Yep.
But I have another case to talk about.
Okay.
This one's an interesting thing. It's a little off the beaten path as far as child cases. Netflix recently has a new series come out called Sophie, Murder in West Cork. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
Mm-mm.
You should watch it. You should watch it. Behavior Panel did a take on one of the guys' interviews, the main suspect. Now, what happened was...
Who was the main suspect?
Ian Bailey is the suspect.
Oh, I watched that.
Oh, good.
I haven't seen the Netflix.
Now, here's an interesting take on this. I was like, oh, a new true crime documentary, yay! And I'm watching it, and I'm like, why is this so familiar to me? Mm-hmm. Why do I know this name? How do I know this case? And I'm racking my brain trying to figure out how on earth I know what's going on here. And I remembered something. A couple of years ago, we had a friend in our community who I'm not going to name her name, but she came to me and she said, oh, I've been interviewing this guy who was accused of this crime and blah, blah, blah. And she told me all about it. I'm like, wait, you went and sat? Oh, yeah, I met with him. It was fine. I was like, you can't meet with a murder suspect. Are you crazy? What are you doing? Oh, it was fine. And she said, well, he's innocent anyway. There's no way he did it. And I'm convinced of it. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Please bring your husband, or at least meet in a restaurant. Don't go to his house. You crazy? What are you doing? And I was really upset that she met with this guy. And all of a sudden, as I'm watching the documentary, the pieces are falling into place in my head. That's who she was talking about, was Ian Bailey. And she met with him to try and interview him or something for a book about how he was innocent. Right now, this guy is not innocent. I'm sorry. That may be my opinion or whatever, allegedly, whatever, all
Allegedly.
those disclaimers. But watching his interviews, watching the behavioral panel go at him, watching it with all the body language stuff and all the history behind this case, I not for a second do I think this man is innocent. Um, and he is obviously, they even pretty much call him a malignant narcissist in this documentary. They point out all these hallmarks that he's displaying. Quite obviously, if you watch the documentary closely enough, you'll see it. You'll see all these behaviors.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
gotta watch that.
thinking, she is so lucky for having sat in that man's house and talked to him and not ended up dead, you know?
This is how
Oh,
when they go to prison, they end up with pen pals.
mm-hmm.
That's what it's going to be.
Yep. So
He's getting his pen pals ready before
watch
he
that
gets locked
documentary.
up.
I do
Yeah,
want
I
to talk
will.
about it some more because it's a fascinating true crime story. But the fact that we have this connection to it through this other person that we both know is just crazy. But that woman that we're talking about, she really thought he was innocent. And I watched about 10 minutes of his interview. I was like, oh no, oh no, 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 no. And now he was convicted in France of a murder in Ireland, which really doesn't happen. He was convicted in absentia in France, but Ireland will not extradite him to France so he can, go to jail for his charges there. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. But France is convinced he was guilty. They had enough to convict him there in their court system, but he's still walking around Ireland like life is great and he's innocent. I'm like, this is the craziest stuff I have ever heard of. So yeah, it's on Netflix. It's called Sophie Murder in West Cork. Go ahead and watch that,
Wow.
and we're going to talk about it because my jaw, when I realized what was happening in my head, why it was so familiar, I was like, oh my god, I could not believe it. So yeah, we got to talk about that because I was shocked, absolutely shocked that this
When
was
you
a guy.
said somebody in our community interviewed him and said he was innocent, I got that Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost. You and Danger Girl with that that meme, and I'm like, oh my god, I know who she's talking
Yeah.
about too.
Yeah, because I yelled at her. I
Oh
remember when
yeah.
she went to interview him, and I yelled at her up one side and down the other. You do not go to a house of someone who's suspected of murder and sit and talk to them. What is wrong with you? You don't do that. Oh, it's fine. He's innocent. Oh my God. Like, wow. That was
Do
crazy.
not. And she is
Absolutely
not.
mind blowing.
She's not even a journalist. I mean, it's way outside what she does.
Yep. Definitely.
Not smart. Not
Yeah.
smart.
But yeah, to see him in the documentary with all of his interviews and his behavior, that it just
Yeah.
scared me so much more.
I did
I was like,
watch. I did
oh,
watch their thing on her. I got on a binge the other night. I was watching all of their stuff that I hadn't seen. I went back and watched the Carol Baskin. That was hilarious because they talk about Carol Baskin. But then I got on Amber Heard. Okay, I know everybody hates Johnny Depp. But whenever it came out that he was going to be charged, all the allegations came out about the domestic abuse thing. And I'm not a big Johnny Depp fan anyway, but I can remember seeing the interviews and crap with her, and me and my mom talked about it, and I told my mom, I said, she's the abuser in that situation, and mom said, oh yeah, and then I watched them talk about her deposition. They had a video of her giving her deposition, and they hit on all the same things that I remember talking to my mom about. I'm like, finally, not everybody that screams domestic violence is a victim, unfortunately. I think if you do that, you should be charged, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I was going to say, and that ties into, but I'm not going to do that. So anyway, here is this case, and I found zero news coverage, like a video to put in this thing. So I'm going to talk about it on this live because otherwise it would be me just having a one-sided conversation while I show you three pictures in a really long video. So we're just going to go over here, and at least that way you all can talk to us on the comments, and I can bounce stuff on Awen. This
but
is
Jess,
what?
Carol Baskin killed her husband, whacked him. You can't convince me that it didn't happen. Come on, we got to sing the Carol Baskin song.
I don't know the Carol Baskin. I'm the one person in the world outside a random tribe somewhere that has not watched Tiger King. You and Paul lost it, and I've never seen not 1 second of the Tiger King. any of that mess.
Paul and I watched that like a couple of crack fiends or something.
That one,
It was
and
we could not stop watching that
In
show.
Plain Sight that you all went nuts over.
Oh,
That
gosh.
is that the documentary where the girl got kidnapped twice?
Kidnapped is a loose term, but yeah. Yep.
Okay, I didn't watch that one because y'all were nuts over it, and I'm
Yep.
the one person left in America that's a true crime person that has not watched Making a Murderer either
Oh
season.
man.
I know crap about that case.
Wow.
Crap, which is so weird because you and Denise and Paul and all of y'all were into that so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded it to watch it on my cruise, and then I was like, I'm on a freaking cruise ship with a private balcony. I'm not watching Netflix, and didn't watch it. I watched Downton Abbey, the movie, on my flight.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not watching Making a Murder while I'm sitting on my deck on a cruise ship.
I watched that the second it came out. I went straight to the Reddit. I was super heavy involved in the original Reddit board about it, and I lived, breathed, slept that case for probably about 2 years. And I actually stopped following it and getting involved in it because of the community, because it got so toxic and so crazy. I was like, no, I'm out. Which is sad because it's an important case, but yeah, it's another internet thing that went crazy. So,
I knew Denise was in it major.
Yep.
Major. And my eyes would kind of glaze over when she'd get in her little group and talk about it because I had no idea. Not like she was boring, glazed over, but I had no idea what they were talking about. But it's like Paul had a channel on it on his Discord server, and I thought, oh, I'll get caught up so that I can talk to these people and be interesting too. And I did not even know what all the abbreviations for crap was. I'm like, I need a freaking drink one of those Little Orphan Annie decoder rings. I'm like, if I can't even read the Discord, you forget it.
It's a giant case with it spans over 3 decades. It's got hundreds of people involved in it, and it will take you 6 months just to get the basics of it.
I was so lost just trying to read the Discord server channel. Just one channel, not even Reddit. Like, I'm not a Reddit person. But it was like there was all these abbreviations in it and this and that. And I was like, I am so lost. No. Just no. I couldn't get it. So anyway, let's talk about this. This is out of South
Carol
Carolina.
Baskin. Killed her husband, whacked him.
You are so funny.
Sorry, that's stuck in my head now.
That's a legitimate song? Like, really?
Yeah, well, I'll show it to you later. Yeah. I'll show it to you. It's fun.
Sorry. Just somebody made a song about a Carol Baskin.
Oh, yeah. It's really good, too. I'll show you. It went viral, so you missed it.
The most I've ever talked about Carol Baskin is when she went on Dancing with the Stars, and I'm like, I hope she does the dance like in the jungle or something crazy. I don't even know. All right, I'm gonna share this with you. Y'all can see that, right? It's just a nice picture for now. I don't know how to really change
this. Is that just a bad picture, or is she jaundiced or something real bad?
I think this is a bad picture of her because nobody. I think this is legitimately what she looks like because the other pictures aren't going to look any better, in my opinion.
Okay.
So she's kind of yellow. Wait, where's? See, that's the husband. You can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So they're both awful. Yep. So let me open this so that I can actually read it because I'm special. Here, don't do that. Where we go? So this couple had a 3-week-old baby that died. Okay. Not completely uncommon anymore. We talk about it way more than I would like to admit. So, and nobody's talking about this. So that's why we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Nope, that's the 2-year-old. I opened the wrong thing. Hold on. It sucks when you are legally blind and can't read stuff because it's tiny. Okay. 2 charged after infant death. Okay. Minors in their care tested positive for marijuana and heroin.
The baby did?
It says minors in their care. There were 3 other kids but the baby died. So it doesn't flat out say that, but it would not surprise me. Both are in custody. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Conway police have charged two people after the death of an infant. Heather Lee Hare of Conway is charged with homicide by child abuse and 4 charges of unlawful neglect of a child. Josh Gordon Hare, also of Conway, is charged with 2 counts of unlawful conduct towards a child and 2 counts of unlawful neglect. The arrest warrant was the parent of and did have custody and control of a 3-week-old child and did cause or result in the death of said child while committing child abuse or neglect, showing extreme indifference to human life. That the acts of the accused constitute the offense of homicide by child abuse. So, these two lovely people were picked up, okay? Arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, not that uncommon anymore. Here's the dad. It doesn't exactly say how the kids died. The problem is they were reported before this happened. Somebody called in the tip, okay? And they were supposed to be investigated within 24 hours, right?
By CPS?
By CPS.
Right.
I don't know if that's what they call it. I think this is South Carolina. I think it's called, I don't know if it's CPS or Family and Child Services, whatever they call
DCFS, something like that, yeah.
It's DSS. I guess that's the next one.
Okay.
So let me show you what pops up next. I mean, obviously, there's not enough information in that to make a video about. But then this happened the next day. Not the next day. A little bit later. Wait, stop sharing that. Let me show you the next one. So then, open Sesame. Look at this one, guys. DSS worker charged after allegedly failing to investigate abuse before infant death in Conway.
Wow.
A 3-week-old infant died following the allegations of child abuse. I'll show you her picture. There she is. Samantha Sutherland. So, this says South Carolina Law Enforcement Division on Tuesday arrested a former Department of Social Services investigator who failed to investigate. That's not all she did. And neglect claims in Horry County and then falsified a report to show that she did.
Oh.
This woman had claims coming in about a newborn and she didn't have time to investigate. So she went on their social media and picked apart their social media to get information to fill out a report saying that she went and saw and checked on these kids. Completely falsified the report with zero contact with the family. And then the baby died. So her happy tale is sitting in the same daggone jail that the parents are. So I hope she has plenty of time to interview them now. Will she get jail time? No idea. Actually, she's already out on bond, I found out. But you guys, finally, somebody is being held accountable for some BS.
Yep.
Is that somebody that is overworked and underpaid? How much time did she put into finding their social media to fill out a dang report that she couldn't have just went over there and done it?
Right.
Did she do more work to close it out than she would have going?
Yep. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. I still think that certainly that DSS office is probably understaffed. They probably need a lot more people. They probably need a lot better training. And maybe they're just swamped. But at least, thankfully, she's being held to account for that. And she got arrested for it. Maybe now that will open their eyes to be like, you know what? We need to look at how this office is run. We need to look at getting more bodies in here. We need to verify all of the reports. They need to go back and start verifying all the other reports from all the other people. How many people do this? Is this normal? You know, do people falsify reports all the time and we just don't know about it yet? They need to do a thorough investigation of that entire office and probably the entire system.
I read another article. There have been so many dang cases. I haven't even been able to talk about this one either. There's another one where the administrator of DSS in this county, not this one, another case, in their county, was said to the social workers, we have so much backlog, we have got to get rid of cases. And she's being she got fired, and I think they're going to charge her if she hasn't already been charged for completely saying all of these cases that people called in were unfounded and never investigated them at all.
Right.
Like a lot of them, not just one, like a lot of them. It's about dang time. It's about time. Uh, I don't know. This is South Carolina. You want to hope after the stupidity that was the Tim Jones Jr. trial,
Mm-hmm.
and they interviewed a lot of, and well, that wasn't South Carolina. I was going to say the Rosenbaums, but they did interview a lot of social workers that, in my opinion, dropped the ball on that case, and maybe they're not having it anymore. I hope
Yep.
so. I hope so. Because how many more of these kids got to die before somebody says there's a problem? Is it her fault the baby's dead? No. The parents have done something to their children,
Right.
and that's their fault. But can you imagine the person that called that in?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What are they thinking at night? I thought I did what I was supposed to do.
Yep. Like Stephanie Rossi in chat says, I think they probably falsify these cases more than we know. I would agree with you on that. Certainly, I have my own issue with adult protective services, the same thing as CPS, only for adults, where I made a call against my cousin that was in crisis, and it was during the pandemic, and she didn't want to go to the house to see him, so she talked to him on the phone and said, "Oh, he's fine."
Yep.
Totally dismissed everything I was saying, and a couple months later, he's dead because she didn't want to go to the house and she didn't get him any help. So I
Yep.
think this is probably a thing, and it needs to stop. These child cases, how many of them have we talked about just since you started your channel
I
where
made a
CPS dropped
list.
the ball? It's too many.
I made a
Oh,
list. We have covered since my first video, my Jaron Pridgeon video went up on March 25th. We've covered 42 kids.
in 4 months. This has to stop. So we need to be screaming from the rafters that DCF, CPS, whatever you want to call it, they need a massive overhaul. They need a massive influx of money and training and procedures and better qualified people, because we're losing our kids now because this system is broken, and it's got to stop. It really
I
does.
read an article. It was fine. I was like, finally, somebody gets it. Somebody wrote an article. I think I had it saved in there, um, saying it wasn't Tennessee. Maybe it was Georgia. It was one of these southern states. But they were saying, listen, guys, we have had more child abuse cases in the first half of 2020. They were double the amount that they had in all of the year before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, finally, somebody's getting it. Now think about all the ones that haven't been reported.
Right.
That's what we're looking at. Some of these other people are like, oh, yeah, child abuse is down this year. It's like, no, it's not. It's just not being reported.
Right.
And not to be not to make a political statement or to go that way, but right now we have a whole lot of kids coming across the border without parents. They're putting them in foster homes. If you think that our system is not working well with what we have here, and we're throwing that on top of it too, underpaid and overworked isn't going to be the half of it. If they don't think about that, if you're a social worker and you're somebody like this, not all social workers, I don't think it's all social workers. If you're the type of person that would do that, not go check on a newborn that has parents, what would you do about a kid who doesn't have parents in this country, doesn't speak your language, and you might not even have that much accountability for?
Well, let's also imagine maybe
You know?
I'm looking at it from a slightly different point of view. Maybe it's possible that this woman worked for a DSS office where they do have 50, 60 cases per social worker. And maybe she actually didn't have a chance to get out there to see them. And she said, I'm going to get fired if I don't put this report in. So I need to make the report. And there's this pressure to meet her numbers and make all of her reports on time. And maybe because they are so understaffed, she felt that she had to falsify this report so she wouldn't get fired. That could
think
be
if they
another
are
layer of it.
understaffed, overworked, that they're going to fire you if you don't get a report? I mean, what dang government agency gets reports out when they're supposed to?
Yeah, really.
I'm just not. If you don't have the moral aptitude to say, okay, I'm going to get fired rather than lie about a baby that ended up dead.
You shouldn't be in charge of children's
You
lives.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the
Yep.
job for you.
But I think the system allows and
Yeah,
creates it, perpetuates it.
absolutely.
So this is a big
But
problem.
when this starts happening more often, people get
Yes.
called on the carpet for
Yep.
half-assing a job. Uh, maybe we'll get some change. That, how else are we going to get it?
Right.
Some problems you can't just throw money at. You know,
Yeah. That was the first thing I said to you when we talked about this case. I said, if this keeps happening, maybe we can stop some of these cases.
maybe
This is
I'll.
what needs to happen.
Hell yeah, it'd be nice to be able to shut down a YouTube channel that's just about kids that have been failed by CPS and their parents.
Yep. Yep. It would.
It's crazy. But anyway, it just, that one shocked, like baffled me, and nobody's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to share that with you guys because I know you guys that are here agree with most of what I say about it anyway, because we're
Yep.
looking at it. But my goodness, we are, when we started this anyway, 20 people away from 1,000 subscribers.
Oh my goodness. I
20
gotta do it.
people. Come on,
If,
guys.
if you're
We
here
are so
watching
damn
us and you
close.
haven't subscribed yet, please hit the button below.
Yeah.
That's a huge milestone for any
That's
YouTuber to hit
huge.
1,000, and it's going to let Jess do a lot more bigger and better stuff. So if we can get her over that hurdle, that would be fantastic. 20
So I've
more.
been working on, and I'm doing a big giveaway. I'm going to film the video about the giveaway this week. So that will go. There's some cool stuff over on Patreon that I can't talk about. So if that interests you, that kind of stuff is in the description box. I'm working on merch. I'm working on different merch. I'm not going to be doing stuff that's just got my logo slapped on it. I'm working on a coloring book. I know it's going to sound so stupid, but I've been working on it like crazy all week. A couple of weeks now. It's getting really close. I want to have it finished by next week. It's going to be something that you can get off of Amazon, and I'm going to have a digital copy. So if you don't want the physical book, you can buy it digitally and just print out the pages that you like. And it's going to
Nice.
be sarcastic, funny coloring book for like real moms. You know what I mean?
I like it. I need that in my life.
I have a page, so it's like background kind of stuff, flowers, patterns, mandalas, stuff like that, and then that has quotes in the middle, and one of them says, "Oh, Grandma said you can." Well, it sounds like I have a cooler mom than you do.
I loved
So
that one.
it's just,
That is so good.
this one says, "I do cardio." Just kidding. I chase toddlers all day. It's gonna be stuff like that. So. If you like it and want to support my channel, it's stuff that you can give. It would be hilarious as a baby shower gift.
Yes, it would.
Mother's Day, holidays will be coming up before you know it. So it's stuff that you can do that would support me, and it's not weird. Like you don't have to have like a stack of. Nobody else is going to want to run around with 500 T-shirts that says mistrial on it, in my opinion. So that's what I'm working on. I am working on some T-shirts, but they are the retro housewives. If y'all know me, you know I am like, I love that that is my gig all day long. You find me a sarcastic housewife meme all day, every day. I'm making T-shirts with those on them, different. They won't be mom related as such, but just those real 60s sarcastic housewife looking things. So we'll do that on some cups and some shirts, and we'll do some mugs. I am going to put the Hearsay logo because it's that little retro one. That because I do like that. That's probably what I'll do, like that kind of logo, not as much as the mistrial thing. So that's coming soon.
Excellent.
Trademarked soon. But yeah, that's what I'm working on, and I'm working on daggone cases. Y'all keep me busy. I see you, Emily. Emily snuck in here. So that's all that I have like on my list of stuff to talk about. Is that all your stuff that you had on your list? Because we can talk about whatever.
Yeah,
I
it's been
love
a
it.
little bit quieter of a week in the true crime
Yeah,
world as far as new cases popping up. Thank goodness, but still, the ones we have are pretty impactful. I'm watching Summer like a hawk, the Summer Wells
yeah,
case, because my brain cannot comprehend that they haven't found her yet. Same with the West boys, Orrin and Orson West. Cannot believe they have not found these boys. Like, how does this even happen? So I'm watching all this stuff, certainly watching the Vallow case, but right now, well, until there's news, I don't make just chit chat videos, so I'll just wait till there's news. But that means I get lots of time for schoolwork and stuff, you know.
yeah. The
Which,
West case,
oh,
oddly enough, is part of the reason that made me start my channel the way when I
mhm.
did. Like, if you know me, you know I've got my own little problems with DHS. But when Paul talked about the West case when it first kicked off, and we talked about it, we watched the interview and we were like, "Oh, this is not going to go well,"
Yep,
and we followed it really close. But then it just went crazy as far as like community went.
yep,
It's pretty dang crazy. I don't I don't think it's as bad as the summer case, though. I mean, to sit here and think about it, I think the summer
it's
case
not as
probably
bad.
is a little crazier.
Yep,
Um, but I remember saying this cannot be a thing. If those boys are missing out of those houses and they have foster kids, they had to have laid eyes on them once a month.
right.
Like they can't have been missing for more than a month. Was my thought at the time because it was before Christmas. I thought, well, they've
Hmm.
had to have seen these kids before Thanksgiving, and they're like, "Oh no, they lived in this other house 3 months ago." And I'm like, "What do you mean they like when they moved, having foster kids? Social workers should have had to come in and okay and inspect the house
Yep,
before the kids can move in." Because I mean, I do know the protocol. Granted, it's California. I mean, they might have some different stuff than we do, but basic stuff is basic stuff. And that's when somebody said no because of COVID, they quit doing house visits. And I was like, oh, BS, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then I dug into it and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? You're
yep,
not even talking about kids that are at risk. These are kids that are in risk.
right.
These are the ones you should be checking on twice as often
Hmm.
because they've already been abused, neglected, whatever.
Yep.
What do you mean you're not doing house visits? And then, I just went, but there's so many people that cover it. I know Deuteron's real big on the West Boys. He talks about them quite a
Yeah.
bit. Um, I don't know. I don't tend to get a hold of a lot of the big cases that a lot of other people do. If Profile and Evil cover it and Chris and the interview room, y'all can watch their stuff on that. They are. I'm not going to say anything that they are not. I promise. you know. I got on Summer's case as an Amber Alert, so I
Yep.
talked about it before. And Amari, that's where I got a lot of my first subscribers were that weren't like from you and Paul necessarily. Like the people that came in was after I did the Amber Alert for or missing child report on Amari the first day,
Yep.
and then when I was right about that interview and Terrell got arrested, not long after that was CJ, and then I got some more people, and nothing's come out about that case. That's really disheartening. I kind of want to see what's going on that. Oh, James Hutchinson. Um, I'm
Hmm.
working on a video for him this week. June 30th was his birthday, and his family got together and had a party and did a balloon release. And I speak to one of his family members, and they sent me all the pictures, and
Oh,
she sent me some
wow.
other stuff. So I'm gonna put that together and put a little birthday video for him up. But I was not feeling good, and I did. People had commented like, "You don't sound like you feel too good," and I thought, I'm not gonna put a video out where I sound awful for like a tribute video for him. So I am working on that, but that's where a lot of people came into my channel that weren't here from like you and Paul
Right.
were Amari's case, CJ's case, and now Summers because I covered her as somebody in Tennessee, just an Amber Alert here in Tennessee, and then it just got big, and now a lot of people are talking about it. But
Yep.
I'm not gonna make like this is hearsay. This is where we talk about all the crap that's not in court documents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to make videos about summer unless there's a
Some news.
something
Yeah.
that comes out from law enforcement, press conference or whatever. Because we can speculate till the cows come home. I just, you know, I don't know. Um, I think about her, so
Yeah.
I just feel sad. I just feel really sad for her and her community. I'm I'm extremely proud to say that I'm from East Tennessee. To see that, like, the community outpouring that they have over there. I've had people say, "What do you think? Maybe she's in a freezer in the basement." I said, "Honey, she's not in a freezer in the basement. I guarantee you, they have so many damn casseroles right now. Any freezer that they have is full."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just
Yeah.
the police asked for, was it beef jerky and Slim Jims? I'm like, only in Tennessee is that two different food groups. I said, I guarantee you they're going to have to tell people to quit, because I promise you, some good old boys from here in Tennessee, their wives showed up with venison and probably not elk here, but I guarantee you they had homemade beef jerky out of last season venison hunting season. I said, I bet you that they won't ask for that anymore. And they've had to say, please don't send us any more things. Please don't send us.
Yep.
It's so funny. They said they never had to order takeout for the people that did the searches. They had a homemade food every single day
Mm-hmm. Brought to them.
from the
Yep.
community. That's crazy, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah.
proud to say that I was from here. You can't fault that community for the outpouring they have. So,
Definitely. Definitely.
um, you know, I
Let's
just
hope
hope
they
they
find
find
her.
her.
Me
It's
too.
just what, day after tomorrow's 4 weeks.
Mm.
I just can't. I can't even, because she's so little. So
Yep.
so little.
Yep.
I don't know. So,
Oh.
what do you guys want to talk about? Is there anything that we didn't talk about that we should have? Oh my goodness. What, there was something else that I was like, it popped in my head a minute ago. I was like, oh yeah, we should talk about that. Oh, read the funniest thing today. You'll find this crap on Pinterest. You know how you one thing leads to another. It's like a bad night of drinking on Pinterest. You never know where you'll end up. I guess I got on a true crime kick, like random facts or cases you've never heard of. There was a man, and I didn't write the name down. I think I pinned it though. I have to go back. There was a man who, honest to God, got a second trial because the jurors in the case got together and used a Ouija board to contact the victims.
No, they
The
did not.
victims! Yes, it's a real thing, people. How about that?
No.
I was like, that cannot be true.
Oh no.
So y'all
I
think what you say on social media doesn't matter? Apparently,
wow.
you can get a retrial because of a Ouija board.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
I
That's
laughed
absolutely
so dang
crazy.
hard. Dan was like, "What is so funny?"
Holy cow.
Oh my goodness! I couldn't believe it was a real thing.
Mm,
But yeah, that popped up. I was like, I can't even. I can't even.
yeah.
That was so dang funny.
Huh.
That is so funny.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's I can't imagine. How would they
I
have gotten a Ouija
know.
board into the jury room anyway? You know, who let that in?
Yeah, this is why you should have
Oh,
a what sequester a jury about that's secluded. That's why you should sequester a jury.
jeez
That right
Louise.
there, a Ouija board.
But
Yeah.
imagine a jury where you get one of these psychics on the jury panel,
Oh
and that
God.
they take over the deliberations. I had a psychic vision. I mean, could that sway other jurors? Would that be grounds for mistrial? I would hope so. I would hope so. That's not okay. You know. Oh my
But
goodness.
once you start following a case, a big, if you saw the crap that popped up on my suggested stuff on YouTube, I've watched so much stuff about Summer Wells. Now it's just psychics.
Yep.
What happened to her. I mean, it's taken over, and if that's their thing, that's their thing. I don't watch it because I don't know crap about it. So I don't know. I've seen so many the bad psychics. I get, you know what I mean. You always hear about like the bad ones. What's her, Sandra Brown or whatever her name was. She was terrible.
Probably because the
Um,
good psychics that some law enforcement agencies do actually work with do not go public with their crap. They
yeah,
don't. They work very quietly, very behind the scenes, in a very responsible way with law enforcement. They're not going to
yeah.
make a YouTube channel talking about what they see. So, there's that.
So I
Oh,
don't watch that stuff just because I do try to keep kind of the stuff I keep in my brain for the short amount of time that it stays as factually based stuff because I don't want to think, oh, did I hear that? Isn't that what they said? You know what
right.
I mean? So if that's your thing or their thing or whatever, that's fine. I just think it's crazy, crazy. I just think it's crazy the
Carol
stuff that will
Baskin
come out. Oh my
killed her
gosh,
husband, whacked him.
I can't believe that's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah, we have to go dance to that for a while because you'll like it.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
There's a whole dance
Mm-mm.
that goes with it and everything. It's
Mm-mm.
really great. So yeah.
The only exercise I do is jump into conclusions. That's it. That is it. There's me another quote. There you go.
There you go. That would
I
be a
don't
good
even
page.
know. Oh, we didn't talk about this. Did you see the crazy story that came out? I think it was yesterday. It could have been day before yesterday. That um, Jill Biden's ex-husband. I didn't know she had an ex-husband. Um, has come out and said that he was sleeping with the woman that Robert Durst murdered. Like he was with her a couple of days before she died or something. I was like, that's interesting. I mean, it doesn't matter, but it's like what a weird story. It's like because I guess because she's the first lady, that should be a story. But it seems so. It's like Michael Jackson's first cousin's dog's parrot's hairdresser. One time, walked down the street. Thought it was interesting though. What's going on with that case? I thought he'd have a mistrial or kick the bucket by now.
He has not kicked the bucket. He was out for a while because he was in the hospital. He came back with his uh, Foley catheter bag hanging off his wheelchair and all this stuff. It's a mess. It's just a mess. The trial is still going on. They've not gotten to closing arguments last I saw. So I'm just waiting for closing arguments because I can't watch it anymore. It's
I
insane.
quit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried to get into it when they first went back to court, and then COVID kicked in, and they
Hmm.
quit. And then when they came back, I thought, oh, he'll get a mistrial
Hmm.
because who would have? I'm surprised he didn't get a mistrial because all of that stuff that was spoken about a year ago, that's what they're going to be deliberating on. I think they should have just started over with a new
Yep,
jury.
I do too.
But I didn't think he'd make it this far.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't know.
mainly watching it because I followed Dick DeGuerin for a while. He's
Mhm.
one heck of a character in the world of criminal defense attorneys, and I like
They
seeing what
all
he
are, aren't they?
does. But he's not doing so well. I gotta say, I'm surprised. I thought with Dick DeGuerin on his team, this would kind of be this would have gotten thrown out a long time ago. But no, he's not really doing so good. So that's been interesting to watch. Very interesting.
I know they just
Yeah.
recently they're gonna if they haven't already they're going to extradite Weinstein to California because he's already been convicted and everything in New York for all the celebrities that he cast in his movies and crap. So that's going to kick back up again in California. I would assume he has more charges in California than he does in New York. And boy, didn't they make him look like a frail old man when he came for his trial. I
Funny how
think
they
they
do that.
really played that up.
Yep.
Either that or prison or jail was really bad to him. They really walk. I guarantee you, he didn't need a walker when he was chasing all them women around New York. Um, that's crazy. That's
Hmm.
crazy. They did, Cosby was like that too. They
Yeah.
made him look pretty frail before he went in. We'll see what he's up to now that he's out. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know, guys.
Mm.
How crazy. I keep
Yeah.
thinking there's another big case there was something this week, but I keep forgetting what it was.
Yeah. Brown Eyed Girl said she didn't see Dick DeGuerin. She would have watched him. Yeah, he has two defense
Mm.
attorneys. Dick DeGuerin is, I think, on the team. He shows up in court once in a while. Like they had an actual shouting match with the prosecutor
Oh
in one of the
wow.
pretrial hearings, which was hilarious. I could not believe it. And even the judge was like, "Sit down, be quiet, time out." He was like these are 5-year-olds he was wrangling. So yeah, that was a thing. That was Dick DeGuerin yelling at the court, which he's a character like that. But yeah, the other defense attorney has been doing most of the legwork in the trial. So, oh man.
Why do I not know his name? What else? What else has he tried? Why should I know that name? It
Um,
sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
I can't remember now, but Dick. Let me look it up.
Is he like a celebrity attorney? Like everybody knows Mark Geragos because of
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. Does he represent a lot of celebrities or just?
Tom DeLay, Alan Stanford, David Koresh, Robert
Oh,
Durst.
never mind.
Yeah,
Probably
he's.
Koresh then. That's probably what I
hmm
know.
But I've been following him since I watched the Jinx, way back when. Um, and yeah, he's a very interesting person. Brown Eyed Girl says I knew him years ago when I worked for the DA in Austin. Interesting. Wow, did
Ooh.
you know him personally? What was he like? Because he seems like a larger than life kind of character, and I'm always interested to see him in the courtroom because he certainly brings that in the courtroom. He's a heavy hitter. Yep, he is. That's why I thought the case would pretty much get thrown out. I'm surprised it didn't with him on the case. So yeah. But that's my main interest in the Durst trial is from the Jinx, but also watching Dick DeGuerin at work. So
Did you see the story today that a maid in a hotel in Colorado, I think it was Denver, wherever the big championship game is being held right now, tipped off police that when she went in and cleaned a room, some dude had a buku, like more than 10 long rifles and thousands of rounds of ammunition. And his room was overlooking, like,
whoa,
they think that her tip might have stopped like a major mass shooting like it was in Vegas years ago.
oh my goodness,
Huge. Yeah. You
wow,
see something, say something. That could have been an ugly story by tonight.
hmm, that's scary.
And that,
That's
that is
terrifying.
scary when you, whew, I just don't
Hmm.
know. How do you do that? How do you get that into a hotel room? Like that kind of without anybody even noticing. I don't know.
Well, thank God
I'm
for
not,
that maid. She may have just saved a lot of lives.
no
So,
kidding.
hmm, thank goodness.
No kidding. All right. Well, we've been doing this for about an hour and a half, and it's Sunday. I know you guys are going back to work and all that fun stuff. My kids got football practice at like 6:30 in the morning. I'm not even
That's
interested in all
crazy.
that mess.
Mm-mm.
Who in the world? He's 14. Why are we playing football at 6:30 in the morning?
Maybe just
I
so it'll
don't
be
know.
cooler in the morning. Won't be quite so hot.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going to let you guys get back to your Sunday, have dinner with your family, whatever kind of fun stuff you guys want to do. The links to all my stuff, I think, is down in the description box. If it's not, after this thing gets re-uploaded, I'll add it. I don't know since I canceled yesterday's. Thanks for coming today, even pretty last minute kind of notice. I put it up and I was like, we'll see how many people show up. I don't know, but I didn't want to go a whole week without talking to you guys. So
Yeah.
fun, fun, fun. You have any parting words on the
Nope.
way
Just
out?
if there's any news in the Valor case, as soon as it breaks, I'll cover it over on my channel. Don't forget to join us on Thursdays for our Narcissism Live conversations. I'm having such a good time with that series. It's hard topics, it's hard stuff to talk about, but I think we're actually doing some good. So I'm really
I
excited
do
about that.
too. I think we're seeing some results, and that's
Mhm.
helpful. Because it is hard to talk about this stuff, especially when it's stuff that you've been through personally. It's hard to, if you've been through that, it takes a long time to try to pack it in, and then it
Yep.
feels like you're ripping it all out, and it's
Yep.
like, and for whose benefit? So it is rough, but
Yeah.
I think it does the
It's
world a lot of
worthwhile.
good.
It's
Yeah,
worthwhile for sure.
it's kind of like, yeah, look at these kid cases. They'll rip your heart out. They will. That's why I've been uploading some of the world needs more stuff because sometimes it's just like I can't do it today too,
Yep.
you know. So check that out. I uploaded the world needs more Maya Angelou this morning. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's really good and uplifting. I watched it again. I cried.
Mm.
How goofy is that? But I did.
Aw.
I just had too many. cases. I think just too
Yeah.
many. So if you guys have anything that you want me to look at, send me an email, tag me on Twitter, jump in the Discord server, all that kind of fun stuff. I'm around. My Patreon is down there. If you guys want to join that, I need 20 more subscribers, and then we'll do a big giveaway and all that kind of fun stuff. And as soon as I, elbow slick, as soon as I get the merch stuff uh, finalized, I'll put links to that in the description bar. But there's nothing out there yet. So until tomorrow, and another probably stupid case, I will talk to you guys later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Stay safe out there.